Hello and welcome back to another Dark and Darker video. In this episode of my Delve series, I'm going to be taking a look at the Bard. Equipped with the hand crossbow and wielding a rapier and lute, the Bard is the newest class in Dark and Darker, but the question remains, is it any good? So, it has a few things it can do that are unique. Most notably, the amount of crowd control the Bard can bring in to deal with some of the PvE. While the Barbarian can do its shout to prevent damage and chase mobs away for a few seconds, the Bard can chase mobs away for an extended period of time, or at least prevent them from attacking. In this clip you're seeing me use peacemaking to allow my friend to open portals for me, and while I do get hung up on the spider hitboxes and almost die, eventually I'm able to deal with this fairly chaotic room by playing the peacemaking song so my friend can safely open the portal and we can make an escape in the final circle, which we otherwise wouldn't have been able to clear. So, yeah, the Bard is pretty good in some of these unique situations where you need to make an escape. Now, in this video, I'm using a falchion and a rapier, which means I'm a little bit slower, but I have some range damage, and my ranger buddy and I open up on the enemy Bard, and I am able to reload while this barbarian pushes me. I missed the shot, unfortunately, but a headshot with this falchion actually takes out that barbarian. And likewise in this clip, once again opening with that offhanded crossbow, we do a little bit of damage to this fighter, and I take out that rogue with a single falchion headshot, and then a couple swings on this fighter, and he goes down as well. So I think this is one thing that people underestimate, is that the falchion just does a ton of damage, and the Bard almost does as much damage as a fighter, especially when you have your own warsong buff applied. Now, in this clip, I'm definitely playing more of a supporting role, just shooting over my friend's shoulder, making sure he's buffed up. So I'm sitting in the back, going to give a little bit of a speed buff to make sure he has an advantage in the footwork. And then I'm going to just plug the enemy fighter in the head. And we decide that we got the judgment, we got the headshot, we're going to push. So we do that. And here I'm playing kind of a skirmishing role. I'd missed my shots, but I pushed the cleric to kind of make him get some distance. Unfortunately, our cleric missed bubbling our fighter, and their fighter caught the bubble. And I mean, this is a 3v2. But you'll notice here I get pushed, so I kind of fall back, our friend goes in. So having that extra movement speed and just being able to dive in and out as sort of like a skirmisher, I think really is the role for the Bard to play.
Sorry about that shield.
And you'll notice too we're all taking some damage, and one of those deadly crossbow archers plugs our cleric. And I'm able to use Tranquility just to make sure we are healing up really quickly without wasting too much mana. Another great strength of the Bard. So as you can see in some of the other fights, I always start off with the haste buff, and this is a fairly geared barbarian who's been wreaking havoc in the dungeon so far, and we're able to take him out pretty quickly. I'm kind of just faking him out, make him turn to face me, and though I don't do too much in terms of damage, just giving my fighter the speed buff and being a presence that could poke in if they turn their back to me is definitely a threat. And here, once again, we're having a long-range battle, and I just keep providing a slow heal over time and speed buff so that my allies can dodge in and out of fights, poke, they're doing an extra 3 damage. I can do a little bit of range poke, make sure that any chip damage is getting healed up with Tranquility and our own cleric heals. And yeah, so the Bard has some decent supporting options. Now, this is where everything goes wrong. This is a fairly geared rogue, and our cleric accidentally judgments our fighter in the back. But fortunately, you know, worst case scenario, the Bard is actually a decent combatant. So I'm able to get it in there, and with the extra damage on my rapier, help clean up this fight, and you know, pick up some of the belongings of our ally, so he isn't too sad about losing everything in the dungeon. Now, in this fight, once again, it's a little bit of an outnumbered scenario, but I wanted to showcase how good the timing is on this acceleration buff here. So with it, I am able to keep up with this rogue, and I'm able to get 3 hits and take him out relatively quickly. We do eventually get jumped by another duo here while we're looting up and realizing that, yeah, that's a big upgrade compared to what I'm currently using. So we swap things around, but I want to show you how tight the timing is on the speed buff versus the warsong buff. So in this next fight here, I see them coming and I switch to my loot and I play the speed buff. So we have 6 seconds starting now of Warsong. I push in and these first 2 hits get that buff and then it falls off just at the last one. But that was enough. And with the Rapier already getting a flat +3 damage, plus the Warsong and the speed it gives you, you are pretty deadly in a 1v1 against a moderately equally geared opponent. So I'm slightly better, but that guy had a few greens and stuff, so it was comparable. Now in this last fight here, we really are just playing a complete support role again. So I have my archer, there's a team at the far end, and I'm just making sure that I'm giving my speed buff when possible. I decided to clear out this bat because that might be annoying later. It does die in a single hit with all the nice buffs I have. My gear isn't great, but +3 weapon damage on a green rapier goes a long way. We're looking for this rogue. I give the speed buff to my friend. Unfortunately, he doesn't pop out right away, but jumps on my friend who's able to deal with him rather quickly. And now I'm just making sure I keep this tranquility rolling. So always trying to keep my friends topped up.
Is it just 2 left?
It does not quite do as much healing, obviously, as a cleric would, but the fact that it's AoE and it's, you know, essentially free, and it also does have that +3 damage bonus is kind of nice. And I push out and I know there's one behind me, but just being able to be mobile, I'm able to quickly escape, reposition, even though I'm getting chased and my friend can take him out. I miss my jump once again. And as I go to land on him from the top ropes, he's already dead. So definitely playing with my allies, using my songs, using my mobility to weave in and out of combat, take fights when I can, avoid them when I can't, and even surprising a few players with the burst damage of a falchion to the head. The Bard ultimately is an undercooked class, but at the end of the day, it has potential. It has access to great weapons and some unique buffs, and it's just fun. Thanks for watching.